Hello, addicted tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy Renaissance with me, BlueAnkylo, continuing our, at this point, showcase of all the classes in the game, I think. It's pretty safe to say I'm hooked, and I wanted at least one time per class, especially the new classes, show them off. So, continuing that trend, we are going to do another run, starting up today. Music, we're just going to go back to the Pixel Remaster music, just to vary it up a little bit after the last challenge run used in-game music. Let's start a new game, and I think of all the modes, I prefer normal Renaissance mode, especially trying to learn jobs. New Game Plus is a lot of fun, but it's kind of... You don't get to play the unpromoted, and you start with so much money, and you get experience so quick. It's definitely a different balance. It's a different style. So let's try normal. And my goal for today is actually to show off 4 completely new jobs that aren't like if you are a huge fan of the vanilla jobs, I've done warrior and thief. I will get to the other 4 at some point, I guess. But for now, I want to show off the new stuff, right? Completely new stuff. So we're gonna start with the Spellblade. Now, are there any Final Fantasy characters that are canonically Spellblades? It's kind of a rare job. I'm trying to think. Basically, enchanting your magic. You know, this isn't strictly true, and I forget exactly how to spell. There's probably not going to be enough spaces. But because FF9 Steiner, you can effectively have Vivi cast Black Mage and sort of do Spellblade effects. That's the quickest. He's technically just a knight, but he can do spell attacks with his sword. So sure. Kinda. Other new jobs I want to show off. This one of the only ones left that I've never used is the trainer. I'm not really excited about this, but we're gonna give it a shot. I'm just gonna call him Ash because we're gonna catch all. It's not really a Final Fantasy character, but it's got he's got his own job. Got to catch all the monsters, right? Other unique classes we haven't done yet. Geomancer I think is really cool. We're going to try that one off. Geomancy. Again, is there any Final Fantasy characters that are known for their geomancy abilities in the main games? Like, I'm not really familiar with the MMOs and stuff. Geomancer. It's a pretty rare job. Is there anyone that would classify? Because it's like an FF5 job, we could just take one of those. We had Ferris as a dancer, so we could go maybe like Lena as kind of one of my support casters typically in FF5 might be a classic Geomancer for me at least. And then finally, I think it's finally time to show the summoner because I have a feeling this will be a fan favorite. Everyone loves summons. So the most famous of all summoners, definitely Yuna. I mean, we're going with Rydia because I like the old games more than the newer ones. Not that FF10 is new by any means, but we're going like that. So I guess you could go with what's her name from 9 as well. The Aiko, the kid that no one likes. I mean, she's not terrible. Anyone in FF9 that joins in the second half of the game is kind of hard to fit in the squad for me at least. So there's our team. Spellblade. We have never used. Trainer, I barely know anything about. Geomancer and Evoker, all new for you guys, potentially. And how will this party work? Well, the Spellblade gets magic weapon. Basically, we get to add spells to our weapons or other people's weapons. So we could enchant the Ash's Beastmaster abilities if we want. I'm not sure if this is going to be a great deal. But this is the main thing to keep in mind for Spellblades is that if they are equipping a elemental weapon, they get higher base damage. So once we get Ice Sword or Fire Sword, suddenly this guy will be way better. Early on, he's going to be a bit weak, but maybe that'll catch up a bit. I don't think he's going to be as strong physically as like a knight. And then finally, you do have a skill that lets you give Bladecraft to everyone. But that only matters if they also have, like, elemental weapons. And I think it's kind of like the fighter with Warcry that makes other fighters, like melee fighters, better. I kind of get the feeling that Spellblade is more about buffing other melee fighters, both with their spell magic, impart, and like basically giving Bladecraft around. We'll see though. Maybe I'll figure it out. Like I did on my last full party run, I eventually figured out some cool tricks. Next up is our whatever Beastmaster. You can control an enemy. You do get a little bit of extra XP, which is a little bit nice. And kind of like Pokemon, you got to injure them a little bit to control them. Although I think once your level's high enough, you don't need to injure them very much. They're also good with axes. That's weird. And if they're the front row character, you can lure rare encounters, which kind of makes a good synergy with blue mages, trying to get rare enemy encounters, potentially. Especially War Mech and Iron Golem, stuff like that. But that's fine. So, I don't know very much about how these guys play. We'll see. Next up, Geomancers. So, they have a pretty cool mechanic. They have... These are like, based on this tile you're standing in, 4 different spells. And we have 1 slot each at our current level. Eventually, we'll get more spell slots as we level up. However, you can recharge those using the skill, which pulls a random spell from the terrain you're in, and it can restore the spell charges that you've already used. So in theory, we could go heal for free, and then random spell, maybe get something else good, and it might recharge our level 4 slot to get another one. So that's cool. We can also not take terrain damage from fire and ice. Doesn't really matter. So that's kind of it. It's fairly simple. Pretty cheap. You don't have to buy spells or very much gear. They're a cheap class to equip. And last but not least, our Summoner, who works probably the way you'd expect. Basically, you find summons, beat them up, and then you use them in battle. We'll find astral planes, and we'll go over that shortly. But yeah, they're on their own. It's kind of like, they're a lot like the Blue Mage, that they don't get spells the natural way. You're going to have to work to get them. And you're going to need to put them in front of the party to find little purple swirlies. And then we'll do a little challenge to get spells, basically. So yeah, a lot like the Blue Mage, in that you have to work to get your spells. So until you succeed on one of those, you're kind of weak. Anyway, let's buy some basic weapons for everybody. We're not starting off with very strong weapons. This is not a very powerful melee party to start. Although I believe the Beastmaster is supposed to be decent in melee eventually. They just take a while to get there. And technically, they can equip chain armor, which makes them pretty good at tanks. So, I still think a relatively balanced party. We'll see how they work out over time. You know, sometimes I get a little bit down on my group early on when they underperform, and maybe these guys will, but we'll see. So, fortunately, we don't have to spend very much money on magic. There's no regular spells in this group. Now, we can buy Enchant Fire as a level 1 enchant spell. But that's it. There's just going to be 1 spell per level, and that's all we have to buy. So it's a pretty cheap party, I think. You know, doesn't cost us much to power up. Let's put this in slot 1. I think for Let's Plays, I should always use slot 1. It's faster to save and load in there. The game doesn't remember the cursor for if you die and reload in slot 3, you have to go down, select 3. It doesn't remember that you're previously playing that. I guess for fun, let's see if we can level 1 pull off the first job here. Gotta find these little blue sparkles. And of course there's random encounters, so hope you're ready. Oh, that's cool. I have never seen that there was like time elemental, like astral realm. I didn't, when I had a summoner in my past runs, I did not have a Geomancer with them. So there, we actually got a we got an achievement for that, because you need to use Geomancy in every terrain type to get an achievement, and I didn't know this was a terrain type, so I was like, which one did I miss? I don't know. But now I know. So what is these? What do these do? Time elemental damage, 1 or all, random status effects to all foes, and magic damage to allies. That's interesting. No healing, but interesting. Who are you? Where'd you come from? There's something guarding this astral realm in Quinaria. burned and just killed. Okay, you know what? Geomancy in the astral realm, pretty good so far. Definitely making these fights a bit easier. My kind once thrived in these parts. A proud race we were. Not like the imps you know now. Bunch of mindless drones. Can you guess what the first summon will be? I don't know if we're gonna actually win, but some of these summoner battles are actually pretty tough. Magic attack up. Yeah, that's really good at this level. Cavernous Maw, get wrecked. Now, if you're paying very close attention, at the end of those geomancy spells, sometimes it says charge recovered. If we had one to recover, it would recover. I'm not sure we're going to win this, though, but let's see. Let me use my strength again. Prove your worth, and my power you shall have. It's just a goblin. Almost instantly killed me. I don't think we've got time for Enchant Fire. I don't know if Control has any chance to work against bosses. Probably not. Maybe we go for, like, random status effects. Hope for the best. Our Summoner can't do anything until we kill this guy. Silence might be good. Time damage. 22, not amazing. So I think the Goblin is using a special skill. The same spell we would use if we take over him, like if we summon him. So maybe I should have done Magic Shroud. Well, it would boost his or Lena's own magic damage. The thing is, we might not get another turn, so. I don't know how much HP this thing has. We're not hitting very hard. It's not looking great. Maybe level 1's just not right. Okay, we got him. We got him. So we're already throwing off our group XP dynamic. Well done. You've earned my respect. Call upon me if you ever need my strength. We got our first summoner spell, so at least they can contribute to battles now. And, yeah, we're basically in debt already, but, alright. It's all good. Mostly, the first one's, I think, the most important, because, now we can, actually use our summoner for something, rather than just hitting with a stick. So, Goblin, it's a semi-random base 40, which is very high non-elemental damage, but it caps at your HP, current maximum HP. So right now, we can only do 27 damage with it, but that'll go up. And I actually think, as far as a single target level 1 spell goes, it's really strong. Like, not bad at all. But let's try to get everyone to level 2. Wow. Compared to my last run where I had a Dragoon that was doing, like, jumps that did tons of damage at low levels, this is pretty sad. I mean, I can show them off. We got a control. Good. Goblin Punch. So if you have controlled an enemy, you don't have to kill it, and you get bonus XP at the end of the battle, which is worth the enemy of, well, he only has 1 XP, but still. It is a way to focus on a little bit more efficient level grinding to some degree. Depends what you're fighting, but like if you were doing the Agama grind and you controlled it rather than killing it, you'd get, I think, double XP. If there's just one Agama and you control him, I'm pretty confident. Also, Snare is very strong. That's like quad X. So, you know, Geomancing spells are pretty good. And because they recharge, they're even stronger. Anyway, that's maybe enough. Level 2. Do you think we can kill Garland at level 2? You think he's got less than a... Well, I don't think we'll have Snare because we're not going to be in a forest. Although... Oh, we can't store it. So once we get promoted, we can store a charge from a terrain. So you can bring in... Actually, you know what? I should check for... I can't remember if there's a second level 1 spell here. Put out the summoner in front. Just looking for swirlies. There's probably one in Garland's. Yeah. So, unlike the Blue Mage, where we had 3 spells per level, I think there's only 2 spells per level for summoners. So it's not as much work, and they're all... I think the blue magic skills are a little bit harder to find, because some of them are a bit niche, whereas the summoning ones are... Assuming you let your summoner lead the party, they're all pretty obvious where they'll be. Morale down. That's not very good. That means they run, which means we actually lose. Like, makes us get less. But still, this group's doing fine. I don't think we're in too much trouble. Now, one thing I did notice for control is it only works on monsters, which isn't literally every enemy in the game. I think humanoids are immune to it, and probably bosses. But we'll test it out more as we go. And I will... Again, I know some people get really annoyed by the high speed. I'll turn it down a little bit for the beginning so you can see what's going on a little better. Not everyone reads as fast as everybody else. I'm not trying to judge you, just, yeah. Also, you know, YouTube compression might make it harder to see than what I'm seeing. So let's try Enchant Fire. I don't think Garland's weak to it, but maybe that will still count as the Bladecraft boosting his base damage. Not much for you to do. So inside a dungeon, we have access to non-elemental single target, darkness inflicting AoE, absorb for all allies, which is decent, although 20% of 1 is not very much, or just physical damage up. I think I'll try to get darkness on him. That seems pretty good. And we'll goblin punch him. 46 damage, not bad. Got the darkness. Got the fire enchantment. Let's see if that's better. We'll just go for a control. I don't think it'll work. And maybe put up some damage. Goblin again. Attack and crit up. Can't hurt. I mean, we didn't even get to see it because he's dead. So far, this group, pretty good. Good start. Not that Garland is usually very difficult, but so far so good, right? Now let's go back to his dungeon and find out if there's a secret summon up there somewhere. I do think this party will be pretty cheap to equip. We'll have to buy some weapons, but spells usually are the biggest expense. Hey, we get forest healing in the forest. I didn't show that off. Yeah, I gotta get familiar with all the different terrain types. But yeah, single target healing and status recovery is decent. Usually 1 single target, 1 AoE, 1 status, and 1 heal or buff. So there's not always a healing option, but you know, there's often, especially in like forests and plains are like the major ones. In the swamp, we have fire damage, poison damage, which kind of sucks because a lot of early game enemies are probably strong to that, but also phantom, which is the morale reducer, which kind of sucks because then they run away, and then a nice little healing HP and removing poison for all allies. Anti-venom in the swamp, pretty sweet. Yeah, phantom may be the worst one to roll. So at least the standard geomancy, you can select a spell if you want to use a recharge. I'm really glad it's not all randomized, because random abilities are not usually my style. I mean, it helps when you can see what they all do, but this is not the kind of fight I really want to take. Also, I need to make sure I put the summoner up front. I already know where the thing is. If you're playing along, you'll have to search for the astral realms, but they're not very hard to find, guys. And it's really cool, because then you're in these areas that are, like, unique. It's just like a dark version of the normal world. But sometimes there's, like... Oh, you'll see. Sometimes. Stuff happens. That spider hit me too hard. I don't like that. We don't really have a lot of healing. This group, as a lot of groups, isn't going to have a lot of healing options. For now. I was once the guardian of this place, but that was long ago, before the darkness. So what would have guarded Garland's shrine, right? I don't know if I can control undead. That's a good question. Cannot be controlled. Not failed, cannot. Generally, ghouls are not a great fight. Also resists darkness or something, maybe, because they're undead. I don't know. But these are time elementals, so they should work. Anyway, we got them. No problem. No problem. Okay, encounter rate. You could chill. You could chill for a second, buddy. Where's my... Oh, is it in, like... The... Sometimes finding these little sparkles is a little bit of a pain. This temple was once a place of light and healing, but it was corrupted. We could use some healing. I did say my party's a little bit low on healing. I don't think silencing is going to make a much difference to a spider. They're not really known for their chattiness. Quit focusing on Lena. Did I... I don't think I bought any heal potions, did I? Nope. There is an achievement for never buying anything. Whom do you serve, light or dark? Show yourself. It's Kieran. It's a fancy deer, magic deer. I don't know if she's weak to fire. I don't know if I can control a wolf. I don't know if we can survive this fight. I need to kill those wolves, that's for sure. Okay, she's gonna heal all the wolves. Failed to control a wolf. Punch the deer for 65 damage. Nether Blast sucks. Let's try again now they're maybe injured a little bit. Maybe random statuses? I don't know. More punch. 48 damage, not too bad. Insta-death, paralyze, petrify, dark. You know what? That's not as bad as I was expecting. Let me try to control it one more time. I think I've got one more spell left. Yeah. Punch. Just not getting lucky on those controls. We're going to need some more level ups, I suppose, before it gets a bit more reliable. Let's just random spell it. Maybe I could have boosted Goblin's damage output if I'd done the other. Didn't matter. Looks like that fight was fine. Hey, we got an extra 6 XP. Woo. There we go. We got our first, or that should be the last of our first level spells. Light Warrior. I see. Then the time has finally come. I grant you my power. So what do you think Kieran can do? You can probably guess, given what we just saw. It heals everybody and grants regeneration, which, if you remember the Green Mage play, not great early on, but later on, very strong. Now, this is only like a low-level regen spell, not like regen level 4, but still, it's a level 1 slot. So, our Evoker has become sort of a healer. In fact, quite a lot like the Green Mage at low levels. But the Goblin spell does do pretty good damage. More than I would have expected. We don't get our spell slots back, sadly. Alright, I think we're good. I normally don't fight those ghouls early on, I generally just run. But I'm trying to decide if this group is, like, powerful or not. I'm not sure yet. I'm still just getting a feeling for how useful this team is. I think Rydia is definitely going to be a slow burn. Like, we're doing alright. And technically, this is the first time we've had to control on the monster. So we get to use their abilities, if they have any. Which is pretty sweet, right? And I don't know what that 49 out of 56, is that their chance of getting creep to run away? But, yeah, controlling enemies, like, I think as our level goes up and it becomes more reliable, we'll probably start to feel pretty good. Also, the creep did 54 damage to the other creep, and then we got bonus XP for the creeps. Like, that all seems pretty good, right? I didn't bother to pick up the random items in the chest in there. It doesn't really matter that much. I didn't want to risk more encounters, because we're very likely to die as it is. Slow would be quite good against a mad pony, honestly. of course, Control just insta-wins, right? So, maybe Control's really good. just give it a little bit of time. Let's see how this turns out. I don't like the concept of a Beastmaster capturing and controlling enemies. It's not my style, let's say. But maybe they're actually really good in the Renaissance version, right? Like, it might just be that they're actually awesome. I have such a bad history of them in FF5 that I'm just like, nah, this is the worst class ever. But that doesn't mean that they could not be redeemed. And I have to say, Geomancy pretty fun, and Summoner's pretty fun. And honestly, I'm not sure about Spellblades yet. I think they get Runic once they're promoted, right? And then they can absorb enemy spells, theoretically. We don't get that. Yeah, it must be a promotion ability. Yeah, I think my first time I played with them, I was on New Game Plus mode, so they started with all their pre-promote abilities, and I didn't know which was which exactly. Right, we came here because probably there would be one of these. Now, this has got to be level 2, so this might be a little bit difficult. We'll see. Hey, look, some brooms! So if you're trying to get the full bestiary, yeah, you gotta do all these astral realms. Evil brooms in the mirror dimension. Not very strong, though. No big deal. What's this? Another intruder? No. I will not stand for this. First, that stupid witch barges into my home and traps me here in this accursed form. Now you think you can just walk in here and do as you please? I used to be a witch too, you know. Heck, even in this form, I still have a trick or two up my sleeve. How about I teach you a lesson? It's a cat! Maybe I can control a broom or something. What have we got that might help here? Statuses. I mean, maybe we start with magic damage output. I do have access to a heal, but let's start with some damage on the boss. The brooms aren't very strong. That's the problem. So Kate Sith can confuse the entire group. Let's get a regen on. We're going to be stuck here for a while. Assuming we can even win. So the first time I did Summoner things, I had a Death Knight, or a Dark Knight, or whatever it was. And they were so strong they just one-shot everyone in the group once they were confused. It's like very much like Cloud in the manor, the Nibelheim, or whatever the name of that manor is, you know, with all the enemies that cast confusion on you. And it was like that, basically, where once your biggest sword damage dealer is confused, the whole party is dead. It was pretty bad. So I'm hoping things go a little better here. But I'm not sure. Let's try some statuses. I did put regen up. Let's do some damage on the boss if we can. 53 is decent. Darkness, dead. That's fine. Alright, we've got fire. We've got... Try to focus Kate Sith down, because to confuse is the most dangerous thing by a long shot. If we can kill the caster, we'll be okay. Okay, good. The goblin summon seems to be the only way to do it. Nobody else really did any real damage, so... Okay, not bad, not bad. Better than my last attempt. We only got confused once, and most people broke out of it, and then we didn't kill each other because we're not very strong in melee. Okay, I give up. Look, I'm sorry. I treated for the way I treated you. Take me with you, please. Alright. You're welcome. So this is actually a great spell. Non-elemental confusion is incredibly strong. Summoner might be a little bit overpowered. I know I kind of gave them a bad first impression when I was like giving a quick review of all the classes earlier on. Because their damage spells are, well, you'll see when we get there. But their non-damaging spells are really good. Almost 100% confusion rate. Although, sure, the enemies can recover from it. But it just gives you so much time to get set up. It's really good. And some enemies hit each other for a ton of damage, as you may notice here. This is technically Grey Wolf control. Do we have a... I was hoping to get a heal off on Steiner, but it's fine. Okay, there we go. So yeah, like 4 or 5 Grey Wolves, not impossible to fight at level 3, but certainly not a fight you normally would like to take. But with a little bit of mass confusion and controlling, it's not too bad. Now I think for the Beastmaster, what we're really looking for is powerful axes and whips. Daggers, that's just the only thing they could equip at level 1, so, or in Canaria. Once we get access to better equipment, I think their physical attacks will be decent. Also, I gotta say, the Mystic Knight's HP is not impressing me very much right now. This fight, we don't need to use Muddle on Imps, but she's really showing off. I guess you could always... It probably makes sense on easy fights to always try to go for the control, because you get the extra XP, and it counts as killing them effectively, right? So, money-wise, we're at 760. I do have a couple heal potions in a pier. I don't think we're going to have a huge problem getting to Provoca. I don't think the pirates are going to cause us much trouble either. So let's get going. I suppose the person with the most HP might as well be at the top. They'd get hit a bit more. Alright, let's... This is definitely... Like, these guys are weak to fire. So if we get a chance... don't have enough spell slots to just spam them with Rydia just yet, but... In theory, fire should be pretty effective here. Also, apparently our control rate is already getting much improved, even just with a couple basic levels. So, that's pretty helpful. Definitely can't complain about that. Can we control an iguana and just get double XP from this instantly? Not weak enough. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some damage. Okay, we've done like 20. That one failed. Forest healing. Definitely good for sustainability. You know, double XP from an iguana. We don't have to actually kill it. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, right? Maybe throw in like one offensive spell. Or not, even. I mean, that is pretty cool. Maybe a solo Beastmaster wouldn't be... Well, it depends how much... It depends on the threshold. Also, who's that guy over on the right? Well, we'll talk to him in a minute. First off, let's fight some pirates. I'm Bicky. Get him. Get him, boys. So I don't expect we can control pirates. That would be silly. I don't think enchanting fire makes any difference. Yeah. So we've got the water set. We got HP, heal, and regen. Water to all foes, or water to all foes. Sure. Confusion sounds a little bit better. I don't think with a Geomancer, or really anyone, this is a very tough fight. So, there you go. Pirate be done. Alright, and then... Let me see. Are you new? Okay, this guy wants to talk to the Geomancer about something. This is a new NPC that's not usually here, and they must have something to do with the Geomancer. Sometimes, after you play enough, you just sort of recognize where extra people get added in, right? We might as well buy Enchant Bio. I don't know how much... I don't really like the enchant spells that much. There is technically also a side quest we're going to have to start doing to unlock the upgraded versions, but I don't... Maybe we can't do that until they're promoted. Hey there. Begone with you, knave. You're not worthy to breathe the same air as one such as myself. What about me? You, swordsman! I'm a wanderer in search of a legendary weapon. I found this one on a dead pirate, but it's not legendary. You may have it. Perhaps all paths will cross again. Just gives us a free sword. Really, nothing too crazy there. It's a wind elemental, which, if you remember, means it's actually 50% stronger than normal. So that means this sword is actually a base 15, unless you're fighting something weak to wind, and there's some things that are weak to wind. And then it becomes base 20 power, which means I don't think we actually want to buy him a short sword, which is something you'd normally buy, because it's probably an upgrade, but 15 is our base with that free Gale sword, and it can go higher. That said, the hand axe is an axe, so we're going to buy an axe for Ash. And he gets extra hit rate with it, so we're going to go from 23 to 28. Maybe that doesn't seem... Maybe it takes effect in battle. If he starts attacking twice, maybe this trait doesn't show in your status screen. Because it'd be pretty cool if we get 2 swings already, is what I was thinking. Alright, and that's all we need to buy, I think. Yeah, because the Geomancer and the Summoner aren't really going to do a lot of, weapon upgrades. We do have... No one can use iron armor. Interesting. I guess we'll buy a shield. I'll buy gloves for the babies in the back. And we'll call that there for armor. It's probably not worth very much. Like, it's not very valuable to spend a lot of time on, minor armor upgrades. Like, it helps, but it's not a big deal. Also, I forgot. We need to check the town for, sparkles. Is there no summons in Provoca? Okay. Doesn't seem to be any in Provoca. So, let's go... Where should we go next? How's my time? 37 minutes? We got lots of time. We're doing great. Sahogs! Well, they're probably resistant to water, is the annoying thing. We don't really have a lot of other AoE, but we can confuse them. I might do a couple Kaizoku fights to farm a little bit of gold early on. We'll see how I feel about that. It is nice to have, early cash without grinding on ogres for super long. But I have to say, my initial impression of this group is actually pretty decent. We got a little bit of healing. It's a little bit light, but between Geomancy and Summons, we do get some secondary healing. Off-healing, perhaps, as the kids would call it in the MMOs. But, so in theory, we can still do the old trick. Reset. First encounter. Normally, I think it's the second encounter, but, whatever. And, in theory, this fight isn't that difficult. Are we double stacking Confusion? That's kind of silly. Didn't do that. Oh, well, that's good. Whoever goes first gets to do the Confusion. I'm pretty sure you can't control humanoids, so I'll show it off a little bit more just to test it. Cannot be controlled, yeah. So, I think ogres also count as humanoids, so a lot of, the classic grinding, or early EXP enemies are kind of immune to the Beastmaster tricks. So I think maybe for XP, your best grind would actually be Sharks. Sharks give pretty decent experience, and you should be able to technically control them for doubling, technically. And also, it's easy to control them. Well, I say easy. It might be easy to control them. I don't know. Oh, I have to double check the number of swings Ash gets as well. I forgot to check. He's still at 28%, so it should be 1. but if his 10% axe actually works, this fight's going to be annoying, but we're going to test it out anyway. I don't know if that enchantment really does us any good at all. I still don't know when I would ever use it. It's kind of weird. If I was in a swamp, we'd have a nice way to restore poison, but... Let's see. That was just one, but that could be, you know, one hit, one miss, theoretically. Yeah, arachnids don't do very much damage. They're just annoying with their poison. I don't think we're getting 2 attacks. I think the... I'm not sure if it's bugged or what, but it seems like the axe accuracy doesn't really work. I don't know. Hey, they're poisoning each other. Yeah, doesn't seem super effective. So yeah, our melee DPS output, pretty weak at this point. But I have a good feeling about, like, our Mystic Knight will get there eventually. Also, so I don't know how it works, but the attack while controlling an enemy, like, when the enemy uses attack, seems to be much stronger than a confused enemy. The spiders attacking each other were doing 1 damage. Then when we controlled them to attack each other, it did like 38 damage. So how that calculation comes out is definitely a mystery as well. In terms of, we want, is there a dwarfy summon down here somewhere? There sure is. I assume it's the other level 2-1, but you know, we'll figure it out. Jellies, that's a new enemy technically speaking. We are in the Nether Realm again, not in the cave. I want to save my charges there for the boss. So the jelly is like a heal slime. It just heals stuff. The muck is a standard marsh cave kind of thing. Well, we dealt with the jelly. And the muck is worth a lot of XP, so hey, an extra 63, nice. Alright, where's my sparkles at? There we go. Mud, clay, rock. Maybe we can start guessing what we're going to be fighting here in a second. Nice. Okay, the Beastmaster's control starting to look pretty good. I wonder if we could get that control on the jelly, if that would let me heal, like, my ally. Like, can we? I haven't controlled anything with a skill yet, right? Only physical attackers. So let's keep trying. Oof. Unsuccessful. Come on. Well, now it doesn't matter because if we control him, he's just dead. Yeah. You definitely can, but... Alright, well, we don't want anyone to die. I'm going to use my heals, I guess. I was hoping I could get some free heals in there. Firm. Hold firm. Tough. Now we got scums in the mix. I might want fire here because I think we need that to kill the green slime. I'm going to throw Kieran and get some passive regen because we don't have any heal potions left. That works. No need for enchant fire if you just kill them. Now, if I was going to control one, we get more XP from the muck than the other thing, I think. Not like it really matters, but gotta min-max that XP, right? feel like my tankiness is a little bit questionable here as well. Our melee damage output and our defensive abilities are a little bit on the weak end. Just taking a lot of damage here. Would have been nice if I had some more heal potions. We can still curing it up a bit. Where did he go? Are you gonna make me go all the way back down? Ugh. Some of these summoner quests are a little annoying. I really need Ash to not be dead before we get to the boss. There we go. Can we just maybe skip a couple of these fights, please? Yeah, a little bit too much. There we go. All right, let's do this. Golem strong. You strong? We got ourselves the old golem, the FF5 golem sprite specifically. Okay, so I don't expect anything's weak to poison, so maybe we just put fire on. I don't even know. We've already got wind elemental, if that matters. We should probably maybe go for that random status again. We do have 2 charges of level 1 of the first slot now as we're leveling up. I'm gonna save the heal for a little bit later. Sleep, confuse, silence, asleep. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, that geomancy ability strong. Oh, he's been silenced. You can't use he doesn't have any special abilities, but he doesn't have any anyway. All right, let's. So that was astral shift. Good stuff. I'm gonna boost my magic damage. Yeah. So they all have stone skin thanks to the golem, which is going to absorb a bunch of melee damage, which is unfortunate. Need to get rid of their healer, I think. Let's do some big hits, or at least try to do some big hits. I think we got to use magic on golem. We just don't have very much. 92 damage. Nothing dead. Control wore off. Illegal. Try to kill that. Yeah, all we can do is try to kill that golem, I think. We gotta get the golem down, or it's just gonna put up. There we go. It's gonna put up so much resistances, we're stuck. Maybe I should be focusing on the healer now that the boss is done. But this is looking like we're in control now. The magic damage boost certainly helps. And there you go. You strong. That's another summon down. We're doing real good on these summons. Golem. Stone skin effect, which absorbs 20 plus your level times 2. It doesn't sound like much, but you know, sometimes there's some sneaky scaling in there that might make it a little bit better. I don't know. I do notice that I don't have enough pure potions here. Sorry for your ears. Didn't expect to get poisoned at the Dwarf Cave. If I can get a fight in the forest, I can fix that. Never mind. Never frickin' mind. The Geomancer can use an ability to cleanse, but, you know. Do we just die? I actually really should be careful here. Wow, that worked. Good. I think if our turn had ended, Ash would have died from poison. So, that was kind of funny. I did not bring any tents, which was a mistake. I usually remember to bring tents. This time I forgot. I just thought it'd be a quick trip to the dwarf, get some money, and be out of there. Let's make sure we've got a couple travel saves. Also, let's res. That's one way to get rid of the poison condition. Just die. It's actually cheaper to die than... It's 75 bucks or 70 bucks or whatever it is for a pure potion. It's only 50 to get rezzed in Corneria. Efficiency. How are we doing for HPs? Yeah, I'm kind of not sure if Ash or Steiner make better front row yet, but we're already getting level 4 slots at level 6. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, no problem there. How's my timer doing here? We're at 50 minutes. We got enough time to go do elf. Go see some elves. So look for new NPCs. You know, we'll probably consider weapons, although we're kind of getting special weapons for our Mystic Knight. Although the Silver Sword is very strong. There is also a whip. Huh. Maybe. Some minor staff upgrades for the wizards. Taming monsters. I'm not sure what that even means, honestly. I think I might just buy 2 copper bracelets. And an iron shield. It's not a ton, but, you know, the mages need something. 1 armor is just garbage. And none of these are worth enough to even bother the sale price. And that puts us at 19 absorb. Definitely a little bit more. If the HP is similar, then certainly we can have the Mystic Knight on the top slot. Don't have the money for the magic spellblade stuff. Not that I think it really matters. Didn't see any summons in here. Let's check the tassel. Oh, there's something. Definitely something here. This might not be a good idea. My ideas aren't always good. What do you seek? I seek power. There it is. Horses! Run! Do you seek comfort? I seek less mad horses, honestly, personally. There we go. We've got all of our abilities ready. Sure. Level 6. Do you seek an end to all suffering? It's a big horse! With a bunch of stun touch. Oh, she's killing her own friends. So I think there's a bit of a boss mechanic here, and we got completely hosed because every single person got stunned except one, which is just stupid. They had 3 attacks with the ghouls, and they each targeted a different person and stun touched them. So, you know, look forward to that. So the unicorn will kill all of her allies eventually. And heals themselves. Yeah, we really need to not be stun locked, or else this fight is doomed. I think you can non-elementally confuse undead, so yes. And status is, it is potentially non-elemental because everything, or time elemental at least. But we don't get a turn. Okay, well they're dying anyway, so great. I feel like we're not doing very well on this fight. Yes, the unicorn has killed all her allies, but I don't think that's actually good for us. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, can't control bosses, of course. So this is our first summon that completely just stomped us. We might need a few more levels. Fortunately, you don't actually get a game over or anything. But yeah, that's going to be a little bit out of my league for a little while. I suppose we're nearly an hour in. This is my classic, you know, episode 1. We get around this point in the game, usually in 1 hour. And then we just need to grind a little bit because just the nature of the early game here. So we could cast some of the new spells. They can show you what they do. Stone Skin for the whole group, which means we just absorb some hits. It's not bad. I actually think that the early game low level summoner spells are pretty powerful for the level, honestly. You know, we're not like, it gives us a little bit of black and white magic, but yeah, once we start getting the classic offensive spells, then it's a little bit more questionable. Can you control a shark? Thunderbolt should definitely do a lot of damage to a shark. Yeah, that's pretty good. One thing I'm trying to slowly learn is how often control works, like how weakened you need the enemies to be. So that shark took maybe 50 damage. I think it's got 122 total or something like that. Just like, it was a little bit above half HP, I think. Once I get a bit of a better vibe for how often control works, I'll know when to use it a little bit better. If it can reliably work at as our level gets higher, if we can actually hit like full 100% HP enemies with it, that'll be really good. But I'm not sure how likely that will be. Also, I did notice a double swing there on our Ash. So yeah, 32% via levels. 17 plus 15, yeah. I don't know where that extra 10% comes from. Maybe it's on the weapon itself. Maybe a basic hand axe is usually 5% hit rate. Can we... Yes, there you go. There is a way to see the plus 10%. Nice. I didn't think that's how the game would do it, but that works. So, yeah, the 15% is included because of your personal skill. And that does get us to 32% a little bit earlier than most people, which is definitely good for, you know, a little bit of a damage bump. Axes are usually pretty inaccurate. So, yeah, that's good. So I think, just given that fight was not very close at all, I'm definitely going to want to get a couple levels. I mean, we're not weak, really, at all. But I'd like to get that summon, which is probably our first level 3 summon, before we go start talking Marsh. And Marsh means, you know, all the usual stuff. We need... we don't really have any sweepers other than whatever the geomancy gives us. And there's not always a good elemental sweeper available in the zone you're in, basically. Like, Stormy Seas doesn't really work against water creatures very well. So, unfortunately, geomancy, I think a lot of times you get an elemental spell in an area where the enemies tend to resist that element. In the volcano, we get a lot of fire spells, but they're all going to be strong to fire, right? So, like, it's not very efficient in that sense. Even though there's some cool stuff. I think we're going to end the episode here, because I'm going to get probably level 8 or so. There's not much else to talk about. I'd like to be able to buy maybe a silver sword. Probably not. I'd rather go silver axe. Maybe I'll buy that whip with 2,500 gold. But really what we need is like a bunch of heals and cures so that we can start talking about Marsh. But yeah, a little bit of a slow start. I also want to buy my theoretically more enchant upgrade spells. I still don't think these are very good. Like, see if I can show it off a little bit before we wrap up this first one. Like, in theory, I don't know, like, you don't have to cast it on yourself, but, like, what's the point of giving someone poison elemental on their sword? I don't think there are literally any enemies in the game that are weak to poison. So, I don't know what that gives you. Like, what is the purpose? I mean, maybe when you hit something you can poison it, but that's a pretty terrible effect, really. It's not going to do very much damage. I mean, we did 70 damage, but is that because of the spell? Or is that just because we hit twice with hand axe? I feel like that's just our basic hand axe damage, you know? But I'm not sure. We'll keep trying it out as we play through the game. Maybe eventually I'll understand what those are really doing in the background, but... yeah, I think we're going to call that our first episode. Good start. Like I said, I just need a little bit of grind, because I'm definitely not confident in going to the next dungeon yet, and I don't really want to record an hour of sailing around. But yeah, I think this group is off to a pretty good start. I just don't see what these enchant spells add most of the time. Like literally, enchant fire, sure, it's good against, like, the Lich, because it's weak to fire. But the Lich is also weak to wind, I think, so, like, it doesn't even help himself. I know you can technically give Bladecraft to an ally, or all allies, for 1 round, even. That's not even, like, that just gives them, like, 50% bonus damage if they have an elemental weapon equipped. Maybe the enchant counts for that, but it'd be hard to test. So you'd have to spend 1 turn to give Ash enchant fire or something, and then you use another turn to give him Bladecraft, which gives him some amount of some amount of damage up. But that's 2 turns of not attacking. Maybe if you have someone who's really strong, like a fighter or a Dark Knight or a Dragoon or something, you can really pump them up like that. But so far, I think these are the weakest abilities I've seen in this group. The control is decent. Geomancy is pretty fun. Summons are pretty fun. And I think, like, the Mystic Knight is fine, but I don't know. I have to find a way to really take advantage of it, and it's not coming to me yet. It was kind of like the Hunter in that first run, where I couldn't really figure out anything good for the Hunter for most of the game. It was a good boss killer, but usually they kind of lagged. I'm worried that the Mystic Knight might be similar, where there's a few times where they're cool, but for most encounters, they're pretty weak. No AoE. They're not as tanky as a fighter. They don't get iron armor. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I'll keep trying. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.